$245. That's what the options account paid me this week across both platforms. The running total is now $544 in just 2 episodes. And that's not even the big news this week, because after hours on Friday, the CEO of SOFI dropped $250,000 buying his own stock, his 3rd purchase this year alone. And I'm about to tell you why that matters for what we do next. Now, if you were here last week, you will know that Market Monday is the plan. Funded Fridays is where I show the proof. This is where I show what actually happened, what I got paid, and more importantly than anything that not many people do show is where the money goes. That will be on the Market Mondays. That's where we do the buy-in. No hiding, there's no cherry picking. It's all real trades. It's all real numbers based on my live and real decisions. Some weeks will be fantastic. Others weeks ain't going to be so great, but that's all part of this weird and wonderful game that we all like to play in the stock markets. And this week, we've got a fair bit to cover. We have 3 trades spread across both the Tastytrade account and the Robinhood account. There was a big insider buy signal that we've just discussed, and a simple rule about when to sell options that every beginner needs to know. Before we jump into it, if you do get value from these episodes, would really appreciate if you would smash that like button and subscribe. I do this every week with real money, and you get to see where I spend every dollar. There's nothing hidden here. Most traders lose money, and yes, I am one of them sometimes. I'm not your financial advisor, and this is not advice. We learn the how here, but the why is always yours to decide. Capital is at risk. Okay, let's push on. Now, let me start with Tastytrade because this is where the covered calls were. I hold 500 shares of ZETA on the Tastytrade platform. On Tuesday, I decided to sell 5 covered calls at the $19 strike for 17 cents each. That is 17 cents times 500 shares. $85 in rent collected coming to us. FYI, those calls expired worthless on Friday, which means I keep the full $85 and I keep all of those 500 shares. The landlord today collected the rent, but nobody had to move out. But here's why I did not sell on Monday. And this is an important lesson if you're just getting started. Palantir had earnings on Monday. Palantir is a big SaaS and AI name. And when a stock like that reports, it can drag down the whole market sector with it. ZETA sits in that same world. If Palantir had a terrible earnings, ZETA could have gapped down. And if I had sold cash secure puts on Monday and ZETA tanked, I would have been agreeing to buy shares at a price that suddenly looks a little bit too expensive for where the macro is sitting. That is bad timing. Think of it like selling your house. You wouldn't put it on the market or take the photos to put it on the market during a storm. You'd wait for a nice sunny day when all the buyers are feeling great. Same principle here. I waited for the dust to settle after the Palantir earnings, and on Tuesday, when things were calmer, we made our move. That's the plan. That's the idea. Always remember that no trade is better than a forced trade. Good decisions first, premium is second. Now, on that same day, still on the Tuesday, I also sold 5 cash secured puts on ZETA at a $17 strike for 16 cents each. That is $80 in premium for agreeing to buy ZETA at $17. But by Friday, ZETA was hovering close to that 17 level, and I had a decision to make. Do I hold through expiration and risk getting assigned after hours, or do I take that early win? I decided to buy those shares back for 4 cents each. That means I got to keep 12 cents per share in profit. 500 shares times 12 cents, $60. Now, was it the full 80? No. But was it the smart play here? The stock could have dipped below 17 after hours. And suddenly I'm assigned 500 shares at a price I wasn't comfortable with heading into the weekend. $60 of stress-free profit beats $80 of sweating through the weekend every single time. Now, there's an important distinction to make here because you can still be assigned shares after the market closes. I think it's up to 2 hours after the market closes. If that stock then decides to take a plunge and tank down, you will then be forced to purchase those shares. So that's just an important caveat to make you aware of at this point. So we decided to take the sleep easy mode. You take the win, you sleep well, and you come back fresh on Monday to do it all over again. Stay with me, because what happened on Robinhood this week is where the wheel starts turning, and that insider buy I mentioned at the start, that all changes what we do next. Now, on Robinhood, I sold 2 cash secure puts on SOFI at the $16.50 strike for 50 cents each. That is $50 per contract. 2 contracts, $100 collected in premium. SOFI closed below my strike on Friday, which means I was assigned. I now own 200 shares of SOFI at $16.50 cost basis. But remember, I collected that $100 in premium, which means my real break-even price is $16 flat. We're getting paid to go shopping. The insurance company collected the premium, and this time the claim came in. But that's fine, because I already decided before I sold those puts that I wanted to own SOFI at that exact price. That was the whole point. Good decisions first, premium second. And this is where it gets exciting, because the wheel just moved to stage 2. I was the insurance company. Next week, I become the landlord. Those 200 shares are going to start paying me rent through covered calls. But before I decided where to sell those covered calls, something happened after hours on Friday that changes the big picture slightly. After the market closed on Friday, a filing dropped showing that Anthony Noto, the CEO of SOFI, bought another 15,878 shares on the open market at around $15.73. That is roughly $250,000 of his own money that he is putting into his company. He is backing himself. And the thing that makes this really interesting is not the one-off payment. This is his 3rd open market purchase alone this year. In March, he bought 56,000 shares for about $1 million. Later that month, he bought another 28,900 shares for about 500,000. And on Friday, another 15,800 shares for $250,000. That is nearly $1.75 million of his own cash into his own stock in 2026 alone. And across his entire time as CEO, he has made 37 insider trades. Every single one of them has been a buy. He's never sold a single share, not one. He now holds nearly 12 million shares, and roughly 75% of his own wealth is in SOFI stock. He is backing his ability and his company, and we should respect that. Just think about that for a second. This bloke is running the company. He sees the numbers every single day. He knows things about SOFI that we will not find out for months. And he keeps buying with his own money on the open market. Not stock options, not bonuses, his actual physical cash. Does that guarantee the stock goes up? No, of course it doesn't. Nothing's guaranteed. But when the captain of the ship keeps putting his own money on board, it tells you something about where he thinks the ship's heading. And it makes me very comfortable holding my 200 shares at $16 break even heading into next week. Before I show you the running total, there is a simple rule about when to sell options that I wish someone had told me when I first started. And it's going to change how you think about the timing of your trades. Think of it like a market stall. If you're selling umbrellas, when do you make the most money? When it's raining. Nobody pays top price for an umbrella on a nice sunny day. Options work the same way. When the market's red and people are nervous, fear is high. The fear makes put premiums more expensive. People will pay more for insurance when they think something bad is about to happen. That is when you sell your cash secure puts. You're the insurance company collecting bigger premiums because everyone is scared. And when the market is green and everyone is feeling great, that's when your core premiums are juicier because people are excited. They want the right to buy stocks at higher prices. That is when you sell your covered calls. The landlord charges more rent when the neighborhood is booming. Now, it's important to remember that this isn't gospel. I do not sit around waiting for the perfect day because income's the main goal. If the premium's decent and the decision is good, I will take the trade. But if you have the patience to wait for the right weather, your premiums will thank you. So let's put the full picture together. This week on Tastytrade, the covered calls on ZETA paid me $85. The cash secure puts on ZETA paid me $60. And on Robinhood, the SOFI cash secure puts paid me $100. That is $245 this week alone. Then add that to last week's $299. The running total is now $540 in premium across just 2 episodes. And you've been here to see it all. The number might be small, but the mechanism is not. Every single dollar of that premium is fuel. It goes into my options account, it funds my trades, and the goal is to move that income into my tax-free wrapper. For me, that is the stocks and shares ISA, because I live in the UK. If you're in the US, that's your Roth IRA. Whatever your country offers, the principle is the same. The options account earns, the tax wrapper owns. If you want to try this yourself on Robinhood, I have left a link in the description where you can grab some free extra shares to get you started. Next week on Market Monday, I have got 200 shares of SOFI sitting in the Robinhood account ready to go. The wheel has moved from stage 1 to stage 2. The insurance company has now done its job. The landlord is moving in. I'm going to be watching the pre-market on Monday very closely. If Noto's insider buy pushes SOFI green, that's when the covered call premiums will be at their best. Sell umbrellas in the rain, sell covered calls in the sunshine. And if you've made it this far, you're clearly serious about this. Hit the subscribe and turn on notifications, because every Monday I show you the plan and every Friday I show you the proof. You will not want to miss what happens next week with these SOFI shares. And here at Options Brit, we learn the how so we can afford the why. I'll see you in the next one. Bye for now.